Hello, it's Wendy here. As you know, if you've watched any other of my videos, I am an artist and an author. Today, I'm going to be using acrylic markers. Now, these are different from watercolor markers, which I have some, and alcohol markers because they are basically acrylic paint in a tube. Nice thing about these is you don't have to shake them. They are nice and well, that's not going to work. They are nice and opaque, which means you can't see through them and you can paint over them. So what I thought I'd do for this is I started off by just doing some really light squares here and just do some little sketches. I don't have a lot of colors. I wish I did have a lot more. And one day I will probably invest in that, but at the moment this is what I'm working with, and I'm just kind of, you can see what I've got here. I think there's maybe 2 dozen. Anyway, I'm just going to start by making some little flowers. Now these have a pointy end and a blunt end, and I actually find the blunt end is a little bit more painty. It seems to work more like paint and less like a marker, but it depends on the color. So I'm going to use a different color. Let's do orange just to mix in with these. You can see how opaque and kind of solid they are, which is really a nice feature. And it's similar to acrylic paint, which makes sense because they're acrylic markers. But I find it refreshing that they're actually that opaque. Now let's see what I've got for greens here. I don't know what's going on outside. Somebody is pressure washing or something and just cranked it up. Anyway, these are my colors. This one is fairly bright, which is really pretty. I don't think I'll use that one though. That's a little more spring green, and this is a yellow green. Well, it doesn't actually live up to the color on the plastic lid here. But before I do that, I'm going to make a little pot here. They actually work a lot like gouache paints, I would think. I don't work a lot in gouache either, but it just used on paper, I think they seem to me to be similar to gouache. I'm just going to leave some lines like that. And now let's go in with some greens. I like just making little leaves. And I'm going to fill them in with the fat end, like that, and then put some more in with this yellow or this pale green. I wish that noise would stop. I hope it doesn't come through on the video because it's pretty annoying. Or at least I'm pretty annoyed by engines that go non-stop. I really don't like that kind of noise in my life. So all I need now is just a center for the flowers, and I'm going to use this dark brown. So I can draw a little circle like that. Man, this is tight. Or I can just dab it like that, which makes a nice little round circle. That is pretty cute. And I also want some kind of, let's put a shadow under it in this odd color for a shadow. And perhaps this one is kind of a neutral color. We'll put it on on a table. So that's just a fun little thing that you can do with this kind of marker. Now, of course, you can use any kind of marker that you want to. I'm going to put a link below for this kind of marker. I don't know if I can find this very same brand, but I will do that. Now, I want to use this marker, which is called a Galaxy marker. I don't know how much paint it still has in it. It looks a little bit dry-ish. So let's carry on with a different one. One of the things that I've used these for is to do the initial drawing. Okay, it goes like this. I'll tone the canvas with a color, and then I'll use the marker to draw the design so I know where I'm going. All right, let's go with this gray again, which is kind of a blue gray. And I probably mentioned this before, but I've never seen a plant with a gray center, but because most of them are yellow, but there certainly could be one. Just put some leaves on these pieces. I also use these markers to sign my name on my paintings because I have too many letters in my name to sign with a brush. Now I'm also going to add a few little accent dots that represent flowers. So there's that kind of simple thing that you can draw and paint with these markers. Also, I want to show you something. Question is, can you paint over what you already have with a marker? And the answer is yes, you certainly can. Now, I wouldn't say they're 100% opaque, but once it dries, you can go back again. See, it depends on the color, obviously, but I can go back over it, and now it's 100% opaque. So let's do some, just kind of a lavender. I have lavender growing in my yard. And the bees love it. It's amazing. And it stays fragrant even after the flowers have kind of dried up. So you can go back and cut them and make sachets or whatever, put them under your pillow. So I'm just adding a little bit of accent color here with this sort of mauvey color. And then I will take this green and just make some stems. There. And it gives a really nice solid color. Unlike watercolor, which is you have to put a lot of pigment and less water to give it a really opaque look. These things work right away. Something different. I'm going to make some plaid here. My parental background on my dad's side is Scottish. So we actually we fit into a couple of Parton families, the Dewars. You can see how well this darker color works with the yellow. And as you know, plaids can have all kinds of colors in them. So by doing this, I've got the green over the yellow and the red over the green. It's another color that would work well with this. I could do this all day, except that I can't do it all day. Look at that. How nice is that? Now, I'm going to try the white over the colors. Because white typically doesn't cover first time. So let's see what it does here. Okay, you can see that it doesn't cover cover very solidly on the dark colors. Probably covers the yellows, but I'm not covering the yellows, so. Okay, I'm going to let that sit for a minute and then go over it. And it works better the second time. Unfortunately, my paper isn't the best for this kind of stuff. It's kind of like a journal rather than a sketchbook. But it still has an effect, doesn't it? There's just a little practice, a little experiment, a little introduction to acrylic markers. And I mentioned these ones you don't have to shake. Sometimes some of them have paint in them, and you have to they have a little steel ball in there, and you have to shake it like mad before you can actually use it, and then you have to press it to get it down into the point. But these ones don't do that, so it's a little bit more convenient. I'm just kind of poking around with some of the colors here. Did I use this one? That one's great. Here's a different orange. So you can see they come in like lots and lots of colors, many of which I don't have here. And if you're interested in trying something like this, especially for little things, they're really fun. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell so you get notifications when I have new videos. And also, I'd love it if you'd leave a comment, and I'll see you next time.